Hello, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic week up to this point. We are back for another Draft Expert YouTube video. As you can probably tell by the title, we will be going over our Week 8 quarterback prospect rankings for the 2026 NFL Draft. But before we get into anything that we're going to talk about in regards to this week's rankings, I want to say a massive thank you for everybody that tuned in to the last Draft Expert YouTube video that we did. I love doing these things. It's my absolute favorite thing to do in the world is doing these types of videos and these types of blog posts. And I would appreciate it if everybody would go check out the blog post as well. But thank you so much for everybody who tuned into the last video. Video got over 1,000 views. At this point in time, it's at 1,055 views. I just thank you so much for everybody who tuned into that. I hope you all enjoyed the video and didn't hate my rankings, hate them too much, because I know there's going to be some disagreements here and there because we all have different opinions about what a good quarterback is, what a good trade is, what the NFL teams are looking for, and all that great stuff. I just hope you all enjoyed, and I appreciate it again for everybody that tuned into that. And while we get into this week, there is some controversy in this week's rankings as opposed to some of the previous rankings that we've had recently, where I'm just going to put it like this. One of the guys that I don't have in the top 10 this week has been someone that's been in the top 10 the entire season, and I've talked about as being a potential Heisman Trophy winner. And I think that should give it away right there, and that is Carson Beck from Miami. As we start off the honorable mention section, he was at number 7 last week and has been hovering around like the 7, 8, 9 region of these prospect rankings throughout the course of the season. And I would like to say this. Viewing somebody as a draft prospect is different than viewing somebody as a potential Heisman Trophy winner. Like, there's different things you have to look at in each. With Heisman Trophy, you're really looking at the stats. You're looking at the record of the team that they are playing on, who they played, and all that great stuff. You're not looking at the traits of a player. So when I kept talking about Carson Beck being a potential Heisman Trophy winner, it had nothing to really do with my idea of him as a prospect overall, because I don't think he has the greatest arm in the world. I don't think he has a bad arm, but in the game against Louisville this last week, the lack of arm strength that you look at with him compared to some of the other top prospects in this class kind of showed. It kind of showed. 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns in a 24-21 loss to Louisville this past weekend. Miami's undefeated season is done, and as things stand right now, I think I'm fairly confident saying that Carson Beck's Heisman Trophy run is also over. I mean, you cannot have, if you're trying to win a Heisman Trophy, you cannot have a game where you throw 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, and lose to an unranked team at home. That's not possible. And Miami was building a really good resume. You beat Notre Dame. You beat Florida, beat USF, beat Florida State on the road. Like, they were building such a good resume for a chance of Carson Beck winning a Heisman Trophy, and then Louisville comes to town, and they beat him. And it's kind of expected that Mario Cristobal and Miami lose a game that they're not really supposed to at some point in the season. I didn't think it'd be Louisville, mostly because I'm not the biggest fan of Miller Moss. So if I'm choosing a game for Miami to lose, I thought this one, being at home, wouldn't be it. Like, I know they lost to Georgia Tech a few years ago, and that game was at home, and they did the whole fumble, and Haynes King created some magic at the end of the game. But I was expecting, like, a Virginia Tech, who's a worse team than Louisville, but that just felt like a more Mario Cristobal-esque loss than this version of Louisville. And I don't know if that's a right or wrong thing to say. Louisville, I think, jumped up to 19 in the latest rankings, but it put a massive dark cloud over not just Carson Beck, but Miami, or not just Miami, but Carson Beck as things stand right now, because you can't really win a Heisman with 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. That's not really possible. If he goes out, and he's going to improve, he's not going to end the season with 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. But as things stand right now, it's very hard for me to imagine that touchdown-interception ratio grow that much more than what it is right now. And these throws that Beck was making, they just weren't great throws. They weren't like horrifically bad throws or anything, but underthrow 2 balls. Like, he does this massive pump fake. We saw that earlier in the season. I believe it was against, I want to say it was USF. I could be wrong. There was one game, maybe it was Florida. I can't remember which game it was exactly, but he threw this massive pump fake in there. It's so drawn out. And when you don't have the arm strength of somebody like a Fernando Mendoza, you're playing from behind at that point. Like, timing is everything in football, and even just the slightest move can throw off the route or throw off the throw completely. And if you don't have A+ arm strength, and you have a B arm, You cannot afford to do these long, drawn-out pump fakes because you're going to have to try and play catch-up, and you don't have the arm strength to play catch-up, and the ball got intercepted. He got intercepted trying to hit Tony down the middle of the field in triple coverage. You got intercepted on the pump fake that he had earlier. Had an interception, and he threw it behind his receiver across the middle of the field, and then the final one came where the ball kind of just sailed on him. He got hit as he threw, ball sailed on him for 4 interceptions in the game. And it's not just because of the 4 picks on why Carson Beck has dropped out of the rankings. I think up to this point in the season, he's been playing great. And again, up to this point, he had been playing like a guy that could realistically win the Heisman Trophy. But the thing that hurt him in regards to the draft stock for me is the post-game press conference where he was talking about the miscommunication on the route. Like, that's fine. Saying you had a miscommunication on the route is perfectly fine and dandy. You could say that. There's miscommunication there. But don't go the receiver ran the wrong route. We don't need to do that. It's one of those things that doesn't need to be said. If you're a starting quarterback at a high level and you're looking to be a top prospect in next year's draft, you cannot start throwing teammates under the bus. Whether it's right or wrong, whether the receiver did run the wrong route, you can't tell people that. That's something you have to internalize, and you guys can try and prove that at practice. It's I when we lose, it's we when we win. And when you lose a game by 3 points, you threw 4 interceptions, I don't think you're at any right to start calling out receivers for quote-unquote running the wrong route. It doesn't matter, though, if it was right or wrong. If you think you're right, or if you know you're right and you know the receiver ran the wrong route and he knows he ran the wrong route, it does not matter. You have to eat that as a quarterback if you want to be a top prospect in the NFL or just be a top quarterback at the Division I level. Like we talked about this a couple years ago with Justin Fields, talking about how Bears fans don't care as much as we do when we lose because we're on the team. It doesn't matter if that's really the case, because I would hope it is. I would hope the players on the football team care more about losing a game than I do. I would really hope that as a competitor. I would hope that. But you don't alienate your team, your fan base at that. Zach Wilson, when he got asked if he felt responsible for the Jets' lack of offense a couple years ago, and he just flat out said no. It doesn't matter if you actually feel that way. You have to tell people that you are responsible for that because you are the quarterback. It doesn't matter if the receiver ran the wrong route. You threw the pick. You have to eat that and move on. So that's what kind of hurt me more or irked me more than anything. The whole thing about he ran the wrong route, that's fine. Or not the ran the wrong route, that there was a miscommunication. That's fine. Leave it at that. And when that play happened and you see how the game transpired and you lose by 3 points, you throw more picks than points you lost by. So for that reason, and with the press conference at the end, I had to drop him out because I think some of the other quarterbacks that were at the back half of the top 10 and a guy who played really well this past week to deserve a spot in the top 10 had took his spot. And there's a chance for Beck to get back into that conversation because I do think he's had a great year up to this point. But games like that and comments like that after a game just kind of rub me the wrong way, I guess you could say, in regards to viewing a guy as a draftable prospect for the next level, at least a high-level prospect. And again, never had him above 7. I saw some people have him in the top 5 of their rankings. I never had him above 7 because I do think, again, he was somewhat limited. He had the size and everything, but he's not the most mobile quarterback. He doesn't have the biggest arm in the world. But when he plays with timing, when he plays with confidence, he looks like he's having fun. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But when he's not, things kind of start to spiral. And we saw that at Georgia last year, and we saw it in this game against Miami with against Louisville, with the 4 interceptions. So I hope he's able to bounce back from that, but it was a really rough showing from him this week during the game and after the game. And as we look at the rest of the honorable mention section here, we got Nico Iamaleava from UCLA. Another win for the Bruins. 3 straight wins on the bounce, beating Penn State, Northwestern, and Michigan State. 20-17 win at Maryland. Maryland. And you beat Maryland in there. So 4 straight wins for UCLA, if I'm not mistaken, right? No, they lost to Northwestern. It's 3. They lost to Northwestern 20-17. It was Penn State, Michigan State, and Maryland. Northwestern beat Penn State. That was I don't know where I was going with that. But regardless, Nico Iamaleava, 21-35, 221 yards, two interceptions, did have a passing touchdown in the win, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks on the season. Sam Leavitt also comes in here on the honorable mention section, did not play last week against Utah, put on a very good showing against 7th-ranked Texas Tech, who looked like they were going to run the table. Like if you had to bet or talk to some Big 12 people out there who they would thought would win the Big 12 at this point last week, I think most people would say Texas Tech, and that could still be the point. That still could be the case. There's only 1 loss for them on the season. Like, it's not some insurmountable mountain they have to climb to get back into that conversation. But with the way Arizona State looked against Utah, and I know Sam Leavitt, again, didn't play that game, so it was a massive problem for them in that, so they got blown out because you're going to play a little bit differently with Sam Levitt in there versus Jeff Sims. That's just how it's going to work. That's how it happens. But I don't think a lot of people were expecting Texas Tech to fall in this game. I think, again, a lot of people would have expected Texas Tech to run the table. And I believe they had a backup quarterback. I believe Hammond was in as a starting quarterback in this game. But he played great against Utah when they beat the crap out of them early in the year. So it's not like they had this bum at quarterback playing. No, it was just Arizona State played a very good game, and Levitt threw for his first 300-plus yard passing game of the season, 1 touchdown there, no picks, which is awesome. And I think he's just starting to build his way back up into the top 10 right now. I still am like 85 to 90% sure he's going to go back to college next year, and at least that's what I would say he should do anyways. But I'm going to keep him in and around here because I do think he's insanely talented. I, again, though, want to see him play a little bit more calmer. I'm not asking him to put a muzzle on and not play the certain way because that's what got him to this point at this time. I don't want to completely cut his balls off or anything, but I just need him to calm down a little bit, and we're seeing that a little bit more as the season progressed. We saw it really early in the year against Northern Arizona and Mississippi State. He was bouncing all over the place, making throws against Northern Arizona that he wouldn't normally make, against Mississippi State that he wouldn't normally make last season. So I just need to keep seeing him do that, and if he does that, he can definitely get back into the top 10 around that 10, 9, 8 range for him. I could see him getting back up to 7 as well. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But Sawyer Robertson comes in as another honorable mention here. 25-52, 318, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 3 badly timed interceptions here for Sawyer Robertson. Again, 3 interceptions on the game. All of them came in the fourth quarter. 3 of Baylor's last 4 drives of the game ended with a Sawyer Robertson interception. They lost the game by, 6 points. Not necessarily the most ideal situation to be in. Still put up a good amount of yards. Leads the nation in passing yards. Joint top in the nation in passing touchdowns up to this point in the year. But yeah, 42-36 loss. He still can make some ridiculous throws throughout the course of the game, but the 3 interceptions were not necessarily ideal, especially at the time that they happened in the game, especially when you look at how many points they end up losing this game, especially when the defense had the defensive touchdown with the fumble recovery. There's so many things that happened that could have gone Baylor's way had he not thrown the pick. So I just have him in the honorable mention section, but he's the guy I would probably sit here and go he's probably number 12. I would probably have Beck at 11 and him at 12. And then you have Brandon Sorsby from Cincinnati, who we brought up in the preseason as one of the top 5 quarterbacks to look out for in the Big 12. You remember that YouTube video, you could go check that out on the channel. But Brendan Sorsby, 20 of 29, 270, 3 tuds, 0 interceptions, and a 49-17 win against Oklahoma State. 17 touchdowns, 1 pick on the season. If I remember correctly, that 1 pick came against Nebraska. But Sorsby and Cincinnati are playing really, really well right now. He's playing very efficient football right now. He's a really good athlete as well. 340 yards on the ground this year as well. He's just very fun. He's a very fun quarterback, kind of built like Baker Mayfield. I'm not sitting here going he's the same quarterback as Baker Mayfield. He's built very similar to Baker Mayfield, and he's playing well. And as we've talked about before, the Big 12 has a lot of very good quarterbacks. They have some good teams in there. But it's really hard to look at the Big 12 overall and go this guy is guaranteed to be the top of the leaderboard. In regards to this, 3 of the 5 honorable mentions here are Big 12 quarterbacks, Levitt, Robertson, and Sorsby. And I'll give you a spoiler. We're going to talk about another one here in a little bit. But going into the top 10, I have Jaden Maiava coming in at number 10, drops down 2 spots came in at 8, put forth a good showing against Michigan, had a rough interception in that game where he rolled out to the right and kind of just tossed down the field when they were in the red zone. Shouldn't have thrown the ball, and you could see his reaction on the sideline after he made the pick because he's standing on the sideline after the ball was caught by the defender, hands on his head, surrender cobra and all that stuff. Not ideal, but in this game against Notre Dame, 22 of 42, 328, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks in a 34-24 road loss. The rain didn't help anything at the end of the game, but I think these interceptions that he threw are avoidable. The first one, I guess you could say you could give him some grace on. The throw's just behind. He's trying to hit his receiver across the middle of the field, throws behind him, throws underthrown. It's just not a great throw, and he gets intercepted. But the second one, that's a time and place thing. It's 3rd and 17. You have a minute 18 left in the game. You don't need to score a touchdown here. This is what we talked about with John Mateer before. Remember last week against Texas, or 2 weeks ago, last week against Texas, where right before halftime, he just chucks it towards the end zone. You don't need to score a touchdown there. 1, Oklahoma's winning that game, and 2, you're in field goal range. USC wasn't in field goal range here. They're sitting at the 46-yard line, but you don't need to get all 17 yards back on that play. You're in 4-down territory. You're not going to kick a field goal if you get 10 yards on this next play. But you don't need a touchdown. And with the rain, that just brought everything back. Because I think Jaden Maiava has a very good arm. But in the rain in the situation that it was in. He did a good job at maneuvering the pocket initially because Notre Dame had 4 guys come through and he had 2 guys that he had to split the difference on. He rolled out to his right, tried to hit Lake McCree down the field, and it's just underthrown pass. It was just not a good throw. Again, time and place. Like, I don't mind the decision to try and get it towards the end zone, but again, you're losing the game by 10 points. You can't make up all 10 points right there. Just try and eat away at some yards, and then you can go towards the end zone because the interception ended the game right there. Then it was done. There was no chance of coming back at that point. And with the rain again, you're not going to get as much on the ball as you would normally like. Now, that being said, I do think he made some good throws in this game. He had a 59-yard touchdown pass to Jacoby Lane. Hit him in stride, did a great job. Notre Dame single high safety, looked off the safety to the left, hits Lane down the right sideline for an eventual 59-yard touchdown. Safety didn't have enough time to recover because he looked him off. So just plays like that, I think, are really good from Jayden Maiava. He's very good at going through his progressions. Again, he's got a good arm. He's a decent enough athlete to extend plays in this game. And now, there was one play that he had early in the game to Tanook Hines where I don't know what happened. Like, he's reading the line. It's an RPO, obviously, because that's what USC does. And linebacker crashes hard. But then, at the same time, everybody from the defensive line of Notre Dame is just in the backfield with Maiava right as he pulls the ball from the running back. And he drops back to pass. 2 dudes right in his face, basically 3, and just chucks it down the sideline blindly. And yet it catches then Hines is able to come down with the ball. Like, that's a play where you look at it and go, never do that again. Awesome that it worked out. Never do that again. It was an accurate throw, too, which kind of makes it funny that it just happened the way it did, but sometimes it pays to be better to be lucky than good. And that play, I would say it's a little bit of luck in there, but it still was a very accurate throw from Maiava, even though I'm like 90% sure he had no idea where that ball was going when he let that thing go. But hey, you claim those. You take those. It's like in soccer. If you get a little touch on the ball and it goes in the net, that's your goal. That's your goal now. Like, it doesn't matter if he didn't know what he was doing prior to throwing that ball, or if he didn't see anybody open when he threw that ball, or if he thought he was throwing it out of bounds. All that matters is that the receiver caught. So now you can claim that and say you did that on purpose. But overall, Maiava, I thought, and his touchdown pass to McCree early in the game, I thought was very nice. I can't remember who his second touchdown was to, if I remember correctly. I cannot remember. But the one to McCree early in the game, 10-yard passing touchdown in the corner of the end zone, great throw from him. But yeah, he's got a lot of talent in there. He fits what Lincoln Riley wants to do at quarterback a lot better than someone like Miller Moss did. So I think that's what's helping boost USC's offense. I mean, they have the second best passing offense in the country this year. And Jayden Maiava's improvement from last year to this year is a big reason for that. But this game against Notre Dame, again, rain didn't help. But overall, it wasn't the greatest game for him, not the most efficient game for him, but I still have him at number 10 on this week's list. Number 9, our 4th Big 12 quarterback that we can mention, Josh Hoover from TCU. I was really excited to see this game. I was really, really excited to see this game because it was Baylor against TCU, Sawyer Robertson versus Josh Hoover. Obviously, they weren't directly playing against each other, but I wanted to see how these two quarterbacks did in this game since I could watch them side by side. And again, Robertson made some good throws throughout the game. He had more passing yards in this game than Josh Hoover with, again, 300-plus yards, but he also threw the ball like 20 more times than Hoover did. So if you're going to throw the ball 50 times, I would kind of expect you to have over 300 yards passing. He had 2 passing touchdowns in there as well, 3 interceptions though. Hoover, 231 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Very efficient game from him. And this was a little bit of a wet game as well. A little bit of a wet game. 22 of 31, 3 touchdowns, all came within 10 yards of the end zone, but they were all very accurate throws. It doesn't matter how short they were to getting in the end zone. I just love the accuracy on the throws. Like, you look at the first one, 8-yard touchdown to Rodgers. It's an RPO, linebacker sucks in, and he hits it over top, but not only does he get over top the linebacker, he also places on Rodgers' back shoulder to get him away from the other defender standing in the end zone, because if he throws that a little bit too far inside, then guess what? It could be broken up, could be intercepted. Regardless, Rodgers might not make the catch. The only way we can guarantee him making the catch is throwing that thing back shoulder and working Rodgers away from the defender, and that's exactly what Hoover did on that play. It was a great throw. It was only from 8 yards out, but it was a great throw. He would also hit Rodgers for a 13-yard pass on 3rd down and 6 later in the half. But the second half, or at the end of the first half into the second half, he would hit some very good balls to Dwyer. He got a 41-yard pass to Dwyer right before halftime, gets a 6-yard touchdown pass to him. Corner crashes instantly as the ball is snapped, so he knows he has to get the ball out quick. He knows he has to get the ball out, a little bit of loft on it to get it over the outstretched arm of the defender, but he has to get it out on a line because the safety is going to come over top and try to make a play on it, and he just puts it right on the outside in a spot where only Dwyer can make a play on it, and the defender, fully stretched, couldn't make a play on it. It's just a very accurate throw. And then the first play, the second, or not first play, but one of the early plays in the second half, Hoover's able to hit Dwyer again. Hole shot between corner and safety. 41-yard pass, or 40-yard pass, sorry. Excellent throw. Like, hole shot, boom, in between two defenders on a freaking line. Great throw. Great throw. And I think the thing that separates Hoover and Robertson for the most part, because I think those are the two best quarterbacks in the Big 12 at this point in time. I think Sam Levitt's definitely in that conversation, but I think right now those are the top two guys. And the difference between Hoover and Robertson's bigger. I would say the ball explodes a little bit more out of Robertson's hand, but Hoover's got a much quicker release than Robertson. He can get a lot more torque on the ball. He can spin the ball in there. I just really like what Josh Hoover has been doing this year. I think he's had the two losses that they've had, he had some rough games. Not going to lie, against Arizona State and against Kansas State, he did not play his best. I think he had 4 interceptions combined in those two games. So if Josh Hoover throws more than one pick, there's a pretty much 100% chance that you're going to lose the game because he's that important to their offense. But 2,100 yards, 21 touchdowns, again, joint lead in the nation with Sawyer Robertson. I can't remember who the other one is. Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza also has 21 passing touchdowns, 6 picks on the year. And this week they take on West Virginia, who I believe has the second worst passing defense or third worst passing defense in the conference. I think TCU's might be worse than that. So I expect Hoover to play well this week. And I think what was awesome about this game as well, he didn't rely on Eric McAllister that much. You look at the game against SMU. Eric McAllister had like 200-something yards receiving in that game. This game, he spread the wealth around. And Dwyer was the guy who ended up leading the team in receiver, but he had the Rodgers touchdowns in there, some of the big throws to Rodgers. Like, just very impressive stuff here from Josh Hoover. And the game against Sawyer Robertson, I know, again, it's not directly against Sawyer Robertson, but you look at a game like this and see Hoover play above that, I think that's very impressive. And he came out the win. He comes in at number 9 on this list. It could have been higher had it not been for Talon Green coming in at number 8 against Texas A&M, 45 for 42, or not 45 for 40. The score was 45-42, sorry. 19 of 32, 256, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 85 yards on the ground with 2 rushing touchdowns in there as well. I love that Bobby Petrino is the head coach right now for Arkansas. And it's not because of the memes of Bobby Petrino with the neck brace on and everything, but because of the fact that, remember, he was Lamar Jackson's coach at Louisville. I'm not sitting here going like, oh, Talon Green's Lamar Jackson or anything, but he has worked with guys that are mobile, slender builds that can just make you pay in the open field. And Talon Green is playing ridiculous right now. He had a great game last week against Tennessee, even though he had a couple fumbles in there. But this game against A&M coming in, 4th-ranked team in the nation. I know they don't have like an elite defense. They're pretty leaky in regards to allowing high-scoring games. But so it doesn't really surprise me that Arkansas was able to put up 42 points in this game. But Talon Green was just feeling himself in this game. And I think the thing that separates Talon Green from some of the other quarterbacks in this draft class, or some of the other mobile quarterbacks in this draft class, or just college football in general, is that he's such a long strider. He's so damn athletic and has such insanely long strides that it makes it damn near impossible to get a good angle on him in the open field. Like, the second you think, oh, I've got a good angle and I'm going to bring him down right here, well, guess what? He's already 15 yards past you. You look down for a split second, you look up, and he's gone because he's such a long stride. You can cover like 3 yards per time he steps. Like, it's ridiculous. And he just made some big-time plays on the ground for Arkansas in this game. Like, 4th and 5 from their own 12-yard line, dead to rights in the backfield. Texas A&M sends pressure from the right. He rolls out to his left, gets all the way back to the end zone. So he goes 12 yards backwards, which I still think is scary. I don't like when quarterbacks do it. He did that last year. We talked about the game against Mississippi State. He went like 25, 30 yards backwards before working his way back towards the line of scrimmage. I can't remember if he got a good gain out of that or if the pass play went for, I don't remember exactly how the play went. I just remember that he went so far backwards, and it stressed me out. And it stresses me out when quarterbacks do this, but when you're as athletically gifted as Talon Green is, sometimes you can get bailed out by that. And like 49 yards on the ground. So he goes 12 yards backwards to escape pressure that's coming from the right side, and he turns to his left and cuts up field and picks up 49 yards on the ground. Splits 2 defenders in the process, breaks a tackle, another one, and he just gets it all the way down from the 49-yard line all the way to the Texas A&M 39. Like, that's the type of stuff Taylon Green can do, and he's not just an athlete. He's not a great, but he's developing more and more as a passer as the season progresses, and that's what I'm most excited about with him. He's getting more touch on his ball. Like, you look at the 4-yard touchdown pass to Platt. It's only a 4-yard touchdown pass, but you see the touch and the placement on that. You look at his touchdown pass to Omega Blake late in the second quarter. Pressure comes. No one's open because they're at the 7-yard line. Forced to roll out to his right, buying time, finds Blake in the back of the end zone. If that's Taylon Green from last year, he's just tucking and running it, but he's trusting his reads more. He's being more effective with his reads, and he's still a great athlete. He might be the best natural athlete in this draft class, but he's making accurate throws in regards to, like we talked about it last week against Tennessee, where he's putting the ball on back shoulders. He's throwing the ball more on a line, placing balls more on the receiver's body when he's throwing down the middle of the field, which takes the pressure off the receiver from getting his head taken off by the safety while also eliminating the chance that the defender can make a play on the ball. We saw him do that numerous times throughout the course of this game. But again, 33-yard run, 49-yard run, 21-yard run. It's just so hard to contain him when he gets out in the open field. He's not the biggest dude in the world and like a beef dude. Like, you look at KJ Jefferson from Arkansas in years past, like just absolute behemoths at quarterback. Taylon Green's not that, but he's slender, long striding dude who can pick up massive gains on the ground, and he's back to playing at his best. The Notre Dame game, he sucked. He was really bad against Notre Dame, but everybody in Arkansas was bad against Notre Dame. This game and the Tennessee game, back-to-back games, 2 close losses. I think in 4 of their 5 losses, they lost combined by 13 points in 4 of their 5 losses. So that's not great, not really a fun feeling, but Taylon Green's playing really well right now and could have been higher, but I got him in at number 8 for this week. Moving on to number 7 on this week's list, we have Darian Mensah from Duke. 373 yards, 2 touchdowns in the loss against Georgia Tech. 27-18 was the final there. And this game kind of sucked from a Duke Blue Devil perspective because this game, they missed so many opportunities in this game. I mean, the first drive of the game, they get the ball all the way down to the 1-yard line. Fumble the ball away. Not just fumble the ball away, though. Georgia Tech would recover it, take it all the way back for 6 the other direction. 99-yard scoop and score touchdown for Georgia Tech to take the lead. Duke would then drive down the field again on their second drive, long extended drive, and then the holder would muff the snap and take a loss of 15 yards on a field goal attempt, so they returned the ball over there. So 10 points pretty much wiped off the board in a span of a quarter for Duke, already putting themselves in a massive hole. But despite that, Darian Mensah made some fantastic throws throughout the course of the game and made stuff happen when nothing looked like it really could happen. Like, him and Barkady, I think that's how you pronounce his name, were linking up very nicely. Like, you look early in the game. It's first drive of the game, 6 minutes left. He rolls out to his right. Barkady he's running an out route. I believe he was running an out route. Running an out route. And there's 3 Georgia Tech defenders in the area. He puts it right on his body. This is what we were just talking about a little bit ago. Rather than leading the receiver into the path of the defenders, he throws it on his body to either brace for the hit or just make a play after he catches the ball and make sure no defenders can break up the pass or intercept the pass or do whatever with it. And he's able to secure the pass, put both hands on it, and get like a little more yards after catching it, like a yard or 2. After making, he would also make a very nice pass to Higgins later in the game as well, later in the first quarter. Pressure in his face on 4th down. And it was just a little hitch route. It was just a 12-yard pass, hitch route. But this is what we always talk about. With defenders barreling down on you, are you able to remain calm and tall in the pocket and deliver a strike down the field? It doesn't need to be the most insane throw ever, because we've seen easier throws get intercepted or broken up or fall incomplete or whatever because the quarterback's tensing and the quarterback's not ready he's afraid of the contact coming in. Mensah remains calm, remains tall, delivers a very nice throw. And he also, again, we talk about making something out of nothing. 3rd down later in the game. Defender right on him, grabs his ankle, he's able to break away from that, rolls out to his right, makes an amazing play happen in the backfield before getting to Barkady for a 20-yard gain down the field, getting them from the 25 to the 45. Like, you're backed up against your own 25-yard line, and Mensah just makes something out of nothing. You then have a touchdown pass to Landon King, great one-on-one throw, just outmuscles the defender. It's an easy throw. You see your big tight end is matched up in man coverage, it's going to be an easy play. They tried to jam him at the line of scrimmage, didn't work, and he just out-muscled the defender for the eventual touchdown. Like, Mensah, he's just playing really, really well right now. Very well. And I'm not confident that he's going to come out in this year's class or anything, but there's a lot of throws Mensah made. You look at the touchdown to Higgins, where Higgins made a great catch to come down with it at the end zone. You got a 21-yard pass to Barcady from the far hash to the near sideline, 21-yard throw down the field, or probably a 15-yard throw down the field because Barcady made some people miss to get a further gain on the play. And you look at his throw to Higgins earlier in the fourth quarter, where he's buying time, directs him with his hand to tell him where to go, and hits him along the sideline for a massive 24-yard gain. Like, just plays like that get me excited while watching Darian Mensah. And against Georgia Tech, again, an undefeated team at home. Duke was the favorite going in, but there's a lot of things that Duke did that you would hope they wouldn't do, and they kind of screwed around with it too much. They ended up losing the game by double digits. Or not double digits, they were pretty much losing the game by double digits. They ended up losing by 9. But they have a bye week this week. Darian Mensah moves up to number 7, and I believe I can't remember who they have next week, but a bye week's very much needed after a loss like that. Was their first loss in conference play this year. They lost to Tulane, they lost to Illinois earlier in the year, so they were undefeated in conference play, traveled out west to Cal, played them really well, beat Syracuse if they were coming off a massive win against Clemson, and then you fall your first game of the year. It sucks, but sometimes it's the nature of the beast. But Darian Mensah comes in at number 7, moving up 2 spots from number 9 last week. Number 6 is John Mateer. I'm not going to spend too much time on John Mateer here because all he needed to do was play smart and play within himself. South Carolina's got a very fast and physical defense. They're not necessarily like the greatest defense of all time, but they can make plays. They can make you play. You can make you pay if you're not careful. And Mateer didn't force the issue this week. It's what's something he got in trouble doing against Texas with the 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, and getting blown out by double digits in that game. This week they win because Oklahoma's just a better team than South Carolina on paper, and Mateer just played within himself, had a passing touchdown in the game, but nothing insanely noteworthy in this game. It's just nice to see him get back to level footing after coming off the injury. I mean, I rushed back against Texas, didn't play great in that game, and then you got a game against South Carolina where you play well, and this week they're back at home against Ole Miss, so we'll see how that goes. Ole Miss coming off their first loss of the season against Georgia, so we'll see how they'll be looking. Trinidad Chambliss coming into this game as well, so it's going to be a fun one, but again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on John Mateer here. I just needed him to get back down to earth. He's got a positive touchdown interception ratio again, which is nice for him, but it's still 7-6. Not ideal, but yeah, he's getting more. This was a good game from him. Good game. Just solid game. Nothing really to write home about. Just a solid game from him. Then Garrett Nussmeier comes in at number 5. I would say this was his best game since the Clemson game. I think this game against Vanderbilt was his best game since week 1. And they might have lost the game. They lost 31-24, but 0 interceptions. Didn't force the issue too much, stood tall in the pocket, got hit quite a bit in this game, was able to make strong throws down the field. And you look at this play, 3rd and 6, the ball floats on him a little bit, but somehow still able to get it to Kyle Parker for an 11-yard gain on 3rd and 6. He then steps up in the pocket later in the game, steps up, knows he's getting hit, drives the ball to Barian Brown for a 16-yard gain. Like, just drives it, steps up in the pocket, knows he's going to take a little shot there, still drives it down the field with a couple defenders in the area, gets it to him. You look at his 24-yard touchdown pass to Trey'Dez Green. Green comes on a crossing route, but Nussmeier just keeps dropping back, waiting for Green to get to his depth, and then tosses it over the top to him, just remaining calm. Because if there's a bunch of defenders barreling down on you, sometimes you get a little overwhelmed, and sometimes the ball can float on you or whatever. You miss the throw, but you remain calm, drove it in there. Not like an insanely impressive throw or anything, but it's just nice to see him buying time and waiting for the play to develop rather than forcing the issue when the defender first gets to him. Like, that's what we need to see from Garrett Nussmeier. And you look at his 11-yard pass to Zaven Thomas, gets drilled on the play. This is later in the second quarter. Gets drilled, takes a shot right in the face, and yet he's still able to deliver the ball. Again, it's not an insane throw in regards to, oh my God, this is going to be on SportsCenter and all that stuff. But when you're a quarterback at this level and you're considered to be one of the top quarterbacks in a draft class, you have to be able to stand tall and deliver accurate balls despite pressure going on you. Like, that's what you have to do. And these throws that, like the one with Mensah that I talked about a little bit ago, that those types of throws are not highlight-worthy plays in regards to like, oh, look at this amazing throw Garrett Nussmeier made. But it shows that he's able to make those throws in regardless of what's going on around him and remaining calm and remaining within himself and still delivering the ball down the field. He had a nice 18-yard pass to Aaron Anderson. He had a 62-yard pass to Zaven Thomas, who I don't know how either A, Nussmeier got the ball off, and B, how Thomas was able to break through the defenders and get the touchdown. I mean, the ball only went like a yard, if that, past the line of scrimmage. But Nussmeier was able to roll out to his left and get the ball around the defender that was going on him to get the ball to Thomas, who was able to break 2, 3, 4 tackles before taking it into the end zone from 62 yards out for the score. Brings them back into the game. And again, I think Nussmeier, this was his best game since the Clemson game. Because if you look at the Louisiana Tech game, underthrown passes in that game, they won, but cool. I mean, I guess his best game really was against Southeastern Louisiana, but I'm not going to count that because I would fully expect a guy of Garrett Nussmeier's standing to dominate against a team like Southeastern Louisiana. That's what I would expect. But against Florida, he struggled. Against South Carolina, he wasn't at his best. Against Ole Miss, he was very bad. So they're just games that you see from Nussmeier, you're like, I need to see something again. And this one on the road, as an underdog, yes, again, they lost, but Vanderbilt's a good football team. And he played well. And he threw 2 touchdowns. He didn't force the issue in this game. He stood tall in the pocket, took hits, delivered the ball down the field with confidence. That's what I want to see from Garrett Nussmeier for the rest of the year. But he comes in at number 5. They play A&M this week. So that'll be a tough one. He struggled a lot in that game last year. 3 interceptions in that game. And they just kept stacking on top of each other. And A&M came back in the game. They benched Connor Wegman, put in Marcel Reed, and they came back and won that game. So I'm going to need to see an improved performance from Nussmeier in this year's outing, especially since A&M is the 3rd-ranked team in the country, and LSU doesn't want to keep stacking losses like that. But great game from Nussmeier. I'll give it a thumbs up on that game. The top 4 remains the same. I mean, as expected, kind of. But Lenore Sellers comes in at 4. Like I've talked about 1,000 times before, I don't need to see Lenore Sellers make some breathtaking play. I don't need to see that from him. I know he can do that. And what I think is kind of funny, I was thinking about this last night when I was recording a show. When quarterbacks are really raw, what are the plays that they can make? It's the ridiculous plays that make absolutely no sense. Or like the bombs down the field. You look how effortless of a throw that was. Look at Anthony Richardson in his time at Florida. Some of the plays that he was able to make were just out of this world. Look at the game against, I think it was Western Kentucky, I believe it was, where some of the plays he was making in that game were just like, how the hell did you do that? How did you accomplish that? You threw this ball down the field, the flick of the wrist, the ball traveled 80 yards. Like, he didn't even try to throw that ball. But you know where he struggled was the short intermediate stuff. So when I always talk about like the combine, like, I don't really care about the combine. I think it's fun. It's a good like learning exercise, but it doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Like, I would expect you to look good throwing in your underwear on air. I do expect you to do that, especially if you're a quarterback getting talked about in the first round. But the deep throws are what excites people. And Anthony Richardson, with the deep throws that he was making at Florida, excited people, including myself. But it was the underneath stuff and the intermediate throws that he wasn't connecting on, and that's why he ultimately got benched, and his NFL career is probably done for the most part, especially looking at how Daniel Jones is doing with the Colts right now. Like, it's probably done. And those exciting plays got him drafted 4th overall, and you're trying to develop that to get those intermediate throws so he can become a fully developed passer. Josh Allen, early in his career, deep balls, tight window throws. Drew Aller, like we talked about before, deep throws, tight window throws, but is inconsistent on the intermediate stuff, which is why he started falling on draft boards. What I like about Lenore Sellers right now, and some of the highlights I'll be posting with Lenore Sellers, aren't very jaw-dropping plays, barring the plays where he gets outside the pocket when the defender completely has him dead to rights in the backfield, or the defensive end is in the backfield the same time as the ball is when he snaps it. Like, apart from those plays, those are crazy plays, but in regards to throws, I don't have a crap ton of, like, deep throws and deep plays from Lenore Sellers. One, because the offensive line's not good enough to give him enough time to do those, but I love seeing his development as a intermediate to short game passer. We talked about that last week against LSU, where the bubble screen, he saw the defender crashing. If he threw the bubble screen, that ball is 99% chance getting picked off and housed the other way for 6. Like, that's what you need to see from Sellers. Sellers last year makes that throw. Sellers last year gets intercepted and that gets returned the other way. Sellers this year is starting to learn and read the defenses better, and as he keeps developing into that, he keeps getting better and better. And his numbers aren't like amazing right now. Like 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's not amazing stuff here. The game against Oklahoma, 17-25, 124, 1 touchdown, 0 picks though. That's not great. Like amazing jaw-dropping stuff. But he's making smart throws. He's taking what the defense gives him. He's not trying to force the issue a little bit, because when you're developing as a quarterback and when you're as raw as Lenore Sellers was, you tend to force it a little bit because you have this natural God-given ability that makes you think you can make every throw on the field when you just can't. So you have to hit those easy layups before you can start taking 3-pointers. Like, you gotta lay it up too before you can start doing windmill dunks. Like, you can't. Windmill dunks are awesome, but if you miss all the layups, I don't really care how sick your windmill dunks are, because more often than not, you're going to be laying the ball in more than you're going to be doing windmill dunks. Like, you're going to be doing short intermediate throws way more than you're going to be doing the deep throws down the field that make everybody excited. Like, that's just not going to happen. It's way more likely you're going to hit underneath throws. So you got to build consistency in that, and I think right now he's doing a good job at doing that. So some of the throws that he's making are not like, in that I highlight here, are not like insane plays, or like there's some plays, I have a 2-yard run in here for him. But it's like the stuff that he's doing that not a lot of other people can do from a physical standpoint, and with the intermediate throws and the shorter throws and stuff like that. So Sellers comes in at 4, even though numbers-wise, not the greatest statistical outing against Oklahoma. But again, I just need to keep seeing him develop. Dante Moore comes in at 3. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that Oregon was going to beat the ever-living piss out of who they played next. You lose by Indiana by double digits at home. Whoever they play, I don't care who it was. Like, it could have been anybody, barring like Ohio State. I don't think they would have beat the crap out of Iowa at Iowa, just given the home atmosphere at Kinnick. But if they played a team like Rutgers or Purdue or Northwestern, or I know they already played Northwestern, but Michigan State even, they would have beat the ever-living piss out of them because they had a lot of aggression to take out after losing by double digits at home. Dante Moore, 290 yards, 15 of 20, 4 touchdowns, had an interception in the game, also had 49 yards on the ground as well. A lot of those came on one rush. But Dante Moore he was really good in this game. Rutgers isn't that great of a football team, and Dante Moore looked good. This is the Dante Moore that we need to see more of. And he made some really good throws. You look at Kenyon Sadiq making some great catches in the game, 2 touchdown passes to Kenyon Sadiq in this game, who they're just a really good, like, Kenyon Sadiq's the most athletic tight end in college football right now. And he's going to be a first-round draft pick. And Dante Moore was hitting him with consistency, and they just kept piling it on. Piling it on. And some of the window throws he was making to Corey Moore, 29-yard shot to Corey Moore between 2 defenders. Like, those are the throws we need to see Dante Moore playing with when he's playing in rhythm. Like, there was points in this game where he had one, I think he was started off like 11 for 12 or something like that. Like, he was playing with so much consistency and playing with so much in rhythm that it was damn near impossible to stop. When he's playing in rhythm, he's one of the, if not the best quarterback in college football. But you know what? Against Rutgers, I kind of expected that. And the pick came in the later on in the third quarter. I mean, they split out wide. It was just a late throw. They tried to hit the hitch route. It was just a late throw. Late throw, too far inside, got picked. Nothing more you can really say about that one. But some of the throws he was making to the game to Corey Moore, to Kenyon Sadiq, they were just great throws that not all other quarterbacks would even attempt. So I say that like they weren't like decently open, but they're still impressive throws from Dante Moore. So he comes in at number 3. They take on Wisconsin. And Oregon struggled against Wisconsin last year, but I think that had a lot to do with, like, they didn't have a bye week, I think, prior to that game. Like, they played like 8 games in a row. So they came to Madison, and Wisconsin scared them a little bit. But this year, given how Wisconsin looks, how they can't score for love nor money, I have a hard time believing that they're going to cause this Oregon Ducks team a lot of problems. Number 2, Fernando Mendoza, Michigan State. Like we talked about Dante Moore, it's a easy game for Fernando Mendoza. 24 for 28, 332, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 18 yards rushing as well, 38 for 13. Yeah. Fernando Mendoza is the best quarterback in the country and working outside the numbers, by far. He's also got a really quick release, which works really well in Indiana's offense, running all the RPOs and stuff. So a lot of the slant and quick out stuff are really, really effective for Indiana, especially since they don't want to give up on the run either. Because you can run the RPO so much, but if you keep pulling it every single time, the defense isn't going to believe you're ever going to read that, so they're just going to sit back every single time. So with Indiana being as consistent as in your face about the run as they are, it makes the RPO that much more effective. And Mendoza is the best RPO quarterback in college football at this point in time. Like, it's not even really close. But when he gets things lined up and zips it in there, he has the best arm in college football. Like, when he gets everything lined up and he makes his read and fires it, there's not a lot of other quarterbacks that can make those types of throws. Like, you look at his throw to Omar Cooper. It looked like a practice rep. Like, Omar Cooper's just kind of jogging, and it just goes right in stride for him. Like, it just throws like that, where you're like, that just looked so easy. It looked so effortless from him. But then you got throws underneath, like to Cooper again, 11 yards, RPO, 2nd and 4. Fires it in there on the slant. Just absolutely zips it in there. 27-yard touchdown pass to Elijah Surratt. Just puts it in a spot where only Surratt could get it. It helped the defender didn't turn his head back, but just in a spot where only he could get it. Had a touchdown, should have been a touchdown pass to E.J. Williams later in the game. E.J. Williams made a really good catch, but I guess if it's toe to heel out of bounds, then he's out of bounds or something like that, whatever. But Mendoza, when everything's lined up, is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Leads the nation in passing touchdowns jointly with Sawyer Robertson and Josh Hoover. But he's just playing so smart. And when that ball leaves his hands, it explodes out of there. Absolutely explodes out of there. And he comes in at number 2. They play UCLA this weekend. So it's a Pac-12 rematch for Mendoza because he's played UCLA when he was at Cal. So this is a nice little rematch game here for him. But I believe he did anyways. Wait, he lined up against Dante Moore when Moore was at UCLA, right? I believe so. But UCLA is playing hot right now, but it's at Indiana. I don't really think UCLA is going to continue their winning ways this week against Indiana. They're a little bit better than the teams they played up to this point. But number 1 is Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson has been number 1 for me for the past 2 weeks, and I don't really see that changing at any point for the rest of the season. Ty Simpson is so much better than I ever anticipated him being. I know he was a 5-star quarterback, and I said before the season started that he fits what Kalen DeBoer wants to do on offense so much more than Jalen Milroe does. But I didn't know how good he was going to look in the offense. Like, he only has 7 starts to his name. 7. And he looks like the most experienced quarterback out of everyone we just mentioned throughout this video, throughout this blog post, whatever. That he is so calm, collected, poised, confident, fearless, things that you don't normally see for a guy that's making his 7th career start in the SEC. Alabama has now won 4 consecutive games against ranked opponents, with 2 of those games being on the road, Georgia and Missouri. And Ty Simpson has looked great in every single one of those games. He's not, I don't know what it is with him. He is playing some of the best football that we've seen for a little bit. And some of the confidence throws that he makes are just so crazy. And he's a good athlete as well. He's not just this pocket guy that can't move. No, he'll pick up good gains with the ground. He's fearless in regards to throwing across the middle, throwing in tight windows, picking up gains with his legs, moving it around the pocket and just staying calm despite 3-4 defenders chasing him the entire time. He'll make them miss and then fire it down the middle of the field for a first down. Like, you look at his 18-yard pass to Josh Cuevas early in the game. Motions a back out. Defender free rush on him. 2 defenders free rush on him. Backpedals, sidesteps, calmly bounces, and just fires it to Cuevas, who's a few yards past the line of scrimmage, who picks up 18 yards with for a first down. Like, you look at his 31-yard pass to Ryan Williams in the second quarter, or later on in the first quarter. Down the sideline, dot, in an only spot where Ryan Williams can make it. He would connect with Ryan Williams later in the first quarter as well. Steps back in the pocket, feet on the goal line when he throws it. Defender free rush on him. Knows he's going to take a hit. And fires it and puts it in an elite spot. Like, when you have a receiver like Ryan Williams, you can kind of put it anywhere in the area code. I know he's had some drops this year, but normally you can put it anywhere in his area code, and he'll come down with the ball. And that's what one of these plays was. Like, he puts it in a spot where only his receiver can get it, and Ryan Williams makes a catch. It's an elite throw from Ty Simpson. Elite throw. Like, it's not even like I'm just paraphrasing here or anything or being hyperbolic or anything. He is crazy good. And out of all the quarterbacks in college football this year, out of who would have told me that who was the best quarterback in the country going in, I would not have said Ty Simpson. I saw an ESPN article the other day. It was from the beginning of the season. And it had the top, I think they mentioned 20 quarterbacks in the draft class. Ty Simpson was in the others deserve a mention section. He didn't even have an excerpt on him. Like, there was nothing about Ty Simpson in this article, barring his name. And yet, right now, he is the best quarterback in college football. Right now, he should win the Heisman Trophy. And right now, he should be the first overall pick in the draft. That's what he should be. And he might not be the biggest dude in the world. He might not have the most amount of starts in there. But goodness gracious, for what he is supremely confident. And that's what I want in a quarterback. He has 1 interception to his name this season. For how much he throws across the middle of the field and how many tight windows he can fit the ball through, he realistically should have way more interceptions. Way more interceptions. And I saw this today, actually, right before I started recording, that they were talking about, like, oh, we've seen Alabama junior quarterback make his first start and be well, and then go to the NFL and he had it worked out. Comparing to Mac Jones. Ty Simpson's better than Mac Jones. Ty Simpson is much better than Mac Jones. It's not even really a conversation. And I know Mac Jones came third in the Heisman Trophy race, won a national title on that, put up a shit ton of yards, a shit ton of touchdowns at Alabama. Jalen Waddle didn't really play that year. It was him and Devontae Smith. Like, they put up great numbers that year. But Ty Simpson, in every single metric you can think of, barring stats at this point in time, which I think his numbers will get up there, he's better than Mac Jones. And he is the best quarterback in this draft class. And it's so much fun to sit back and watch Ty Simpson work. And against Tennessee, I expected him to play well. I expected Tennessee's defense is not great, especially against the pass. And this week they're going against South Carolina. South Carolina can throw a lot of different looks at you defensively. They can cause a lot of problems for you. They're very fast, athletic, physical, all that stuff. They're not like the greatest, but they will make plays. They will make plays. And it's at South Carolina. South Carolina was close to beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa last year. So now going to Columbia could make things a little bit interesting. But this is Alabama's first non-top 25 game in four tries. But Simpson, easily number one right now. It has been for the past 2 weeks. So yeah, he stays at number one. But recapping the top 10 and honorable mention. So honorable mention, we have Carson Beck, dropped out of the top 10 after the 4-pick game against Louisville. Then we got Nico Imaliava, Sam Levitt, Sawyer Robertson, and Brendan Sorsby. Could also mention Diego Pavia, and there who did play good against LSU this past weekend. But number 10, we have Jade Maiava and USC. They have a bye this week, so he's going to come in at number 10 on a bye. So we'll see how that works this next weekend. But number 9, Josh Hoover, him and TCU take on West Virginia in Morgantown. The number 8, Taylon Green and Arkansas go back to home and take on Auburn, another team without a win in conference play up to this point. So that should be a very fun one there at home. Number 7, Darian Mensah and Duke. They're on a bye this week. Then you got number 6, John Mateer, Oklahoma. They're playing host to number 8, Ole Miss this weekend. Should be a really fun one. Garrett Nussmeier comes in at number 5. Him and LSU play host to number 3, Texas A&M. Hopefully Nussmeier can bounce back from last year's game. South Carolina, Lenore Sellers. They play host to number 4, Alabama this week. So I'm not expecting a whole lot from South Carolina in that game. I'm just hoping that Lenore Sellers, again, just takes what the defense gives him in this game. That's all I'm hoping from this. Number 3, Dante Moore. Him and the Oregon Ducks, again, take on Wisconsin back at home. Wisconsin hasn't scored a point in 2 weeks. I don't know if they scored this week against Oregon. I really don't. Number 2, Fernando Mendoza. Him and Indiana take on UCLA. Number 1, Alabama. Ty Simpson, number 1, taking on South Carolina on the road. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. I love doing this. And this is probably my favorite blog post of the year. Probably my favorite one. This is some of the best quarterbacking we've had all season, was this week. Like, from Josh Hoover all the way up to Ty Simpson. We had some very, very good quarterback play, and I hope it continues. So that's all I've got for you today on this Week 8 quarterback prospect rankings. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below. Blog posts will be down there, social media links, podcast links, all that great stuff. Check that out down in the description. Leave a comment down below on what you think your rankings are, what you think of the rankings, what your rankings are, all that great stuff. Let me know. Also, make sure to subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time, and I will see you guys later. Peace.